parts of the moon no one has ever laid eyes on. And now, speaking of laying eyes, here we are in the suit-up room with the Artemis 2 crew.
Yes, looks like the commander's getting his comm cap on.
Of where we are with tanking, and I can just tell you, as you see from this board right here, fueling continues to track well. We just reached all stages replenish, and while we're talking about the fueling, let's talk about that tanking. Pull up the tanking graphic if we could now. That will give us an indication of where we are with tanking, and I can just tell you, as you see from this board right here, we are all stages replenish. So all tanks on board the SLS, the 2 liquid hydrogen, lower stage and upper stage, and 2 liquid oxygen, lower stage and upper stage, are at 100%, and that's exactly where we want to be. This kicked off at 7:30 this morning with a go for cryo load, and here we are roughly about 5 hours later, and we're fully tanked and now in replenish. The amount of propellant on board, roughly 733,000 gallons. That's about an Olympic-sized pool and a half. Huge amount of propellant. It's all flowed in there. The great news there, no leaks, no issues, and we're looking good at this point. So let's talk weather now. The weather, while it is favorable overall, it's not totally clean, and that was hinted at earlier when we talked about the storms. There is, of course, some onshore flow. Currently, our overall attempt percentage stands at 80% chance of acceptable weather conditions at the time of liftoff, which is going to be within our launch window. That's tonight from 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time until 8:24 p.m. Eastern Time. Winds are good. The lightning risk is low.
Accurate measurement on the leak check, and so they'll hold their breath. You know, even just their heartbeat could potentially make some differences in those super sensitive sensors there. So you can see the red and blue valves there, the air in and air out, and it looks like Victor just had a good leak check.
Yeah, and actually they do 3 leak checks, again, just to get an average reading to say, hey, you know, we have confidence that these suits are holding the right pressure. As Nicole said, that tube that's going in, that's putting air into their suits, and then there was that gold instrument that you saw on their other side. That's how NASA Artemis, and we'll try to answer as many of your questions live. And we'll also have some questions for you throughout the broadcast, so we hope you can participate in those opportunities as well. Okay, as we continue to be inside the suit-up room here, why don't we learn a little bit about each of our crew members? Right now we are looking at pilot Victor Glover, but hopefully we can get a shot here of our commander, Reed Wiseman. Now, Reed Wiseman is a Baltimore native. He's been in space once before as flight engineer for Expedition 41 aboard the International Space Station from May through November 2014. During the 165-day mission, Reed and his crewmates completed, get this, more than 300 science experiments in areas like human physiology, medicine, physical science, earth science, and also astrophysics. They actually set a milestone for station science by completing a record 82 research hours in a single week. He also served as chief of NASA's astronaut office from December 2020 to November 2022, and Reed has 2 daughters.
Yeah, you know, I love, Reed is such a great leader. He was the chief of the astronaut office when they hired our class of astronauts. And so, you know, I think I have to publicly thank him for, for my job here today. But yeah, he's a family man, he's a good leader, and he's a great pick for the commander of this mission.
Yeah, I think, you know, in talking through some of his other accomplishments, obviously he has leadership qualities that makes him prepared for commander of Artemis 2.
Yes, yes, he does. He's a well-experienced naval officer and now NASA astronaut.
And so now here we are, pilot Victor Glover. NASA selected the California native as an astronaut in 2013. At the time, he was actually serving as a legislative fellow in the United States Senate. His first trip to space was in November 2020 when he launched as pilot of NASA's SpaceX Crew 1 mission. That was the first operational mission of NASA's Commercial Crew program, which resumed launching American rockets from American soil to the International Space Station at the end of the shuttle program. Victor is a U.S. Navy captain and naval aviator who served as a test pilot, racking up more than 3,500 flight hours in more than 40 different aircraft. He and his wife, Deanna, have 4 children.
Yeah, 4 children, a lot of energy, but that checks, right? Because when I think of Victor Glover, I think of a lot of energy, smart guy who's always excited and ready to go. And there you go, he's smiling in the suit room this morning.
Oh, yeah, he's a great guy. All of them are. This whole entire crew. They're just a good group of human beings, of leaders, of friends, family. You know, I have never heard anybody say anything bad about any of these 4. They're all so well accomplished, and they're also deserving of this opportunity to return to the moon.
Yeah, and they're also humble, right? They're just standard humans going to the moon, but you would never know that when you talk to them in a normal conversation.
And so it looks like Christina here has completed her suit leak checks as well, her communication checks too.
Yep, they've already got her gloves off. They're getting ready to kind of hang out and relax a little bit, I think, before they walk out.
She is a mission specialist for this mission, native of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Was selected to the Astronaut Corps in 2013, so actually same class as Victor. She served as flight engineer on the International Space Station from March 2019 to February 2020. And during that time, Cook set a record for the longest single space flight by a woman with a total of 328 consecutive days in space. She also participated in the first ever all-female spacewalk. And before becoming an astronaut, Christina helped build space science instruments and led scientific field work in some of the most remote environments on the planet. Her hobbies include surfing, rock climbing, community service, yoga, travel, and photography. Again, so much. When does she find the time?
That's a great question. You know, one of the things I love about Christina is that she's broken records and she's achieved all these milestones. But one of the things that she talks about is, you know, she just wants people to set goals and go work hard and do something that's meaningful to you. And she really hopes that her records are broken as soon as possible. She does it for her family, and she'll talk about all of her nieces and nephews quite a bit. So just, again, another example of just a humble human who's got a great support system in her family and excited for the mission.
Yeah, she's always saying that she just wants the opportunity to push people farther, to push humanity farther, see what we can accomplish together. So, yeah. Again, all 4 of them say that. They're really in tune on what they think or what they feel like their role is in this mission.
Yeah, I think their legacy is going to be, you know, providing the shoulders for others to climb on.
Mm-hmm. And last but not least, first-time flyer, Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen will fly to the moon as a mission specialist on the Artemis 2 mission. The London, Ontario native was selected as an astronaut in 2009. After that, he worked as Capcom at NASA's Mission Control Center in Houston. Capcom stands for Capsule Communicator, and that's the sole direct voice communicating with astronauts in space. He also participated in training exercises such as living on the ocean floor off the coast of Florida to simulate deep space exploration for 7 days. In 2017, he became the first Canadian to lead a NASA astronaut class. He also enjoys getting out on a sailboat, rock climbing, and mountain biking. Jeremy and his wife, Catherine, have 3 children, and he actually got to hang out with them over the weekend. So the crew arrived here for launch at Kennedy Space Center on Friday, and then their family members arrived Saturday.
Yes, yeah. They, as long as their family can quarantine with them, then they will stay, you know, quarantined in Houston, and then they all fly down to Kennedy Space Center, and then you get to spend the last few days with your close family and friends. We actually do a behind-the-glass visit with some of those other maybe extended family members that couldn't quarantine with you. But yeah, it's a quaint time here once you get to Kennedy Space Center.
A great sign here, all 4 astronauts have removed their helmets. And that indicates again that all 4 have completed suit leak checks. And so, Nicole, what they're doing now is they have these pockets on their forearms. That's just somewhere where they can put personal items that they
to share the Artemis story, right, by inviting these social media experts out to share the story as they drive by.
All right, again, let's take a look at the clock. 4 hours, 58 minutes and counting from the opening of today's 2-hour launch window. So why don't we check back in with Daryl with the launch team.
went back to the moon.
Each console represents an expert in a particular discipline, whether it be communications, propulsion, crew health, life support systems, or trajectory. And each of these individuals has a support team in other rooms, each ensuring that no data point is left unchecked, no procedure is missed, and combining efforts as one Artemis team to ensure crew safety and mission success. After liftoff, Mission Control Houston will be staffed around the clock over the next 10 days until the spacecraft is safed for the recovery teams and the crew is extracted from integrity and brought aboard the recovery vessel. The roar of a powerful space launch system liftoff is just the beginning. The mission is, of course, a test mission, and the first with humans on board Orion and in deep space. The crew's job is to put the systems and capabilities of Orion to the test, taking us closer to a sustained presence on the lunar surface. It's great to see the crew gathered around the table. Megan, with that, we'll toss it back to you as we continue to monitor from here in Mission Control Houston. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Gary. Yes, a pre-flight tradition that we have seen with our crewed flights and our astronauts, the card game, Nicole.
Yeah, you know, this is a fun time for the crew. Kind of relax a little bit, play a card game with the chief. You can see Scott Tingle there is the dealer today. Looks like they're playing high card wins. So Victor won, he's out, now Jeremy's out. You know, there are two schools of thought on this game. Either you want to get rid of all your bad luck or go out on a high note. So it looks like the crew chose we're going out on a high note. And, you know, I think one of my favorite parts when I talked to Reed about this is he was just excited to play a game with his old boss from Naval Test Pilot School. So once again, his boss today.
Yeah, and I love this part of the tradition because this is when, again, you usually see them like, yeah, laughing, but very focused still. But when they get to this table, laughs, high fives, smiles, just really a brief moment of levity in what can be and will be a very long day for them.
Yes, you know, it's a long day. There's a lot of preparation that goes in today, and so they're just, I think, at least for us, it was a nice brief moment of some relaxation, a couple laughs, you know, a moment to take a few deep breaths and reflect on the mission ahead, and then, you know, get some high fives as well.
And so with their bad luck dispelled, some good luck from Scott Tingle, it seemed like there, right?
Yes, definitely. It's actually a really fun tradition. You know, I think that card game is more steeped in tradition than anything else. Every crew has played that same card game.
As you said, Nicole, the primary reason for why they're there to suit up, to do communications checks, to do pressure checks all done, and now it seems like those white, very snazzy outfits felt comfortable and ready in these suits as they lift off from Kennedy Space Center.
Right, and you know, each suit is slightly different, each person is slightly different, and so these suit techs know each individual super well. They know exactly how they like to get into the suit, exactly where things might get caught, or, you know, small adjustments that might need to be made. So they know their suit techs well, and their suit techs know them very well.
And so as we take a couple of pictures here, we really hope that you are learning a lot about the suits and the process of checking them out for a mission. But imagine the opportunity to get a
Just because of launch, I get to introduce you to the moon board. This is obviously a very complex mission, lots of moving parts and pieces, so the moon board is going to allow me to break some of those things down for you just a little bit more in depth, starting with that SLS rocket. Now, the SLS, or the Space Launch System, very big, very powerful. It is going to be producing 8.8 million pounds of thrust at launch, and like I mentioned, very large. As you can see here, going to stand about 322 feet tall, with Orion there on top, just a little bit taller than the Statue of Liberty. Now, there are many components that make up this rocket, so I'm going to point out just a handful that you're going to hear about a lot throughout this broadcast, starting with our boosters. These two twin solid rocket boosters are going to be very powerful. They are going to burn for the first 2.5 minutes of flight, and each one is going to stand 17 stories tall. They weigh in at about 1.6 million pounds each. Now, I am going to jump jump back out and I'm going to show you a little bit about our core stage. That's going to be known as the backbone, essentially, of our rocket. And it is made up of around 5 components, starting with this engine section down here. This engine section is where our 2 propellants are going to be funneled down through our pipelines, and they are going to be mixed at 2 different temperatures, very complex processing, and they are then going to go on to feed that fuel to our 4 very powerful RS-25 engines. These are going to produce about 500,000 pounds of thrust each at launch, and they will burn for 8 minutes. All right, now jumping up here, we are going to take a look, because I just mentioned those propellants. Obviously, we do need fuel, and that is why we have around 535,000 gallons of that liquid hydrogen. That's approximately about the same amount that you could fill an Olympic-sized pool, just to give you an idea. And then we're also going to have that liquid oxygen, and like I mentioned, there's going to be about 200,000 gallons for that one, and they are going to be funneled down through those lines that you see here on the side. All right, jumping up real quick, this is going to be our upper stage. That is where our core avionics are going to be stored, essentially the brains of the spacecraft. And then jumping out super quick, let's see if we can zoom in here, and we can. Those propellants I talked about are going to be stored at cryogenic temperatures. That means thousands of degrees below Fahrenheit, so they have to be kept very cold. And that, all those bumps and ridges there that you see, those are actually going to be an insulation spray that's going to help keep that rocket nice and cool, keep the propellants ready to go, and get us set up for success. Now, obviously, that was a very quick overview of our rocket. I have so much more to show you here on our moon board, but for now, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Megan.
Thank you, Megan. A very impressive demo of the moon board, but also an impressive system, obviously. She mentioned
Missions, and we get to involve them here today.
And here we are, the closeout crew in the White Room, getting ready for the astronauts who have just left crew suit up and are now walking down a hallway to greet some family and friends downstairs. Commander Reed Weissman, Pilot Victor Glover, Mission Specialist Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen. Looking excited, ready. Now in that elevator to take them 3 floors down. Thumbs up, one more photo, one more photo. Oh, nope, a couple more people in that elevator. Those are important folks. They're going with them to the pad.
Yeah,
Bye, Reed.
This is a fun elevator ride.
Yeah.
And you know, actually you couldn't see them because they're off camera, but the support crew that's actually in crew quarters with us is right there waving goodbye and saying goodbye to you. So it's a really special moment to say thank you and say goodbye to the support crew at crew quarters.
That's amazing. And so again, they will ride down 3 floors. And then soon we'll walk out the doors that you see underneath the band.
A little bit of what goes on there. So you've got and yeah, it's surreal. You know, it starts to become much more real the closer and closer you get to the launch pad.
20 seconds. And here they are, NASA's Artemis 2 crew. Commander Reed Weissman, Pilot Victor Glover, and Mission Specialist Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen taking their first steps outside for their historic test flight. To a wonderful applause from the crowd. They're looking really excited.
Some
and
big
really
smiles.
Ready.
I love that.
It's a great day for us. It's a great day for this team.
A few words from Reed. Great day for us, the team, he said. Thumbs up, more thumbs up. Of course, a lot of pictures. We hear some camera shutter clicks back there. I love the energy of this crowd. Let's go. And so now the crew walking over to each of their pens. The first people closest to them, of course, their family members who got to quarantine with them, correct?
Yes. Yeah, so the ones that are close and waving, those are the immediate family, so spouses, partners, kids.
And we're trying to give them some privacy so that they can have their conversations with their family members. Christina there, she has her husband. Victor has 4 daughters and his wife, they're there. Reed, his 2 daughters are there. You heard Reed there saying thank you guys as the crowd picks up again with their applause and the 4 of them step into their Astrovan. Looking at the clock, very on schedule right now. Again, according to the very detailed It has to be completely stuck to the second and the minute.
Yeah, we will make up that time easily.
They will get a full secured to those thermal garments, and so those boxes have been years. They may also set a new record as the farthest humans have ever been from Earth, a record set by the Apollo 13 crew almost 56 years ago today. We still hear cheers as they drive away from the operations and checkout building here at Kennedy Space Center. Now, while the crew make their way to the pad, let's get to know each of them even better. First, Commander Reed Wiseman.
The moon, to me, it's the thing that connects me.
I had more confidence. An image of an astronaut standing on. The biggest impediment to achieving my goals was, of course, myself. And I think that's a common same moon in the night sky.
What's really neat, too, was that drive to the launch pad, that point of view to see what the crew is seeing as well as their Astrovan rides up the pad slope and are now on the surface, about to walk up to their vehicle.
Yeah, you know, we talked about how tall this rocket is earlier.
Wow.
Look at that.
Yeah, look at that point of view, yeah. Pad 39B, another historic place here at Kennedy Space Center. Construction began in 1964, finished 3 years later. Apollo 10, the full dress rehearsal for the moon landing. That was the first mission to launch from this pad.
Yeah, you know, we've used this pad for a lot of missions. You know, we modified the pad in the 70s and 80s, and then the shuttle missions actually launched from here as well.
And then, of course, Artemis 1 took off from this
launch tower. Well, we got a weather brief before over there and stand up and gaze up at the 322-foot tall SLS rocket. This was part of the plan for the Artemis 2 crew. Elevator to ascend the launch tower to go up to the level where they'll walk as before. Now and walk across that crew access arm, and there they are. They have been
to the 274-foot level of the mobile launcher. The mobile launcher is the structure you see there. It is not only a way for the crew to obviously access Orion, but also provides the fuels, communications, all that to the rocket. And now we're watching the crew walk across the crew access arm, getting a beautiful view of Kennedy Space Center. The white room over at 39A, but again, this is 39B. Obviously referring to the April opportunities specific to Artemis 2.
Right. You know, this is a complicated answer. I don't know that I would have the exact mechanics behind it, but it has a lot to do with orbital mechanics and where we are in terms of the Earth and the moon relation.
He would also say seasoned astronauts, so.
That's fair. You know, like we said, there's a lot of training that goes behind it. These guys can react to anything that comes their way. And so
on gloves, Reed and
of the Orion mock-up there in the space vehicle.
Members for the Artemis 2 mission. He trained alongside the primary crew. And as we said when we were in suit up, after they do communication checks, again, suit leak checks to make sure that nothing went wrong between the suit up room and here, and also to specifically connect them to the Orion systems.
Yes.
From the top of the rocket in the middle part of the rocket, and that is because just like
NASA family to wish our crew a safe journey. And
crew ingress and vehicle pre-launch config steps 2 through 4.
.24 p.m. Eastern Time and closes at 8:24 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the good news. The bad news is that we've got some range
to make sure that core stage is safe, built correctly, and there's going to be 4 of our astronauts, and it's going to get them to their ride around the moon.
I've been a flight director for over 10 years now. I worked on the Artemis 1 mission, and after that mission completed, I was
with the person who designed this.
With the winner chosen, next came the task of bringing it to life here in the Thermal Blanket Lab at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. This
which is the launch abort system hatch. And so, Nicole, can you just quickly, again, talk to people about the two hatches, again, crew module first and then the launch abort system hatch?
Yeah, so the crew module hatch is the one they're working on right now. They just got closed. You can see he's torquing those bolts down. And that is the hatch that completes the Orion capsule.
Really surprised and very happy.
But so far today, on our first launch attempt, we're really enjoying some
of the events happening in the White Room now, and just make
60 years in space.
Wow, that is phenomenal, Lisa. And this really is a team effort in many ways. We also have Jenny Gibbons.
Yes.
She'll be
samples, but our recovery teams have been training extensively.
Don't quote me on that number, but they have to, like we talked about, take that initial pressure, wait 5 minutes, and take the second pressure.
Every crew member will have their own avatar on board, and then upon return,
based on the orientation.
Great. Thank you so much for that answer, Nicole, and for that question. We're going to continue to try to take as many as possible. Again,
when they were still in high school, back to you at the desk.
I can also say that they have fans.
And your program is responsible.
Checklist and closing the hatch.
That work that is going on over at the range. We understand that issue is related to the flight termination system. Now, the flight termination system, just to give you a quick explainer, every rocket has a flight termination system. It's the system that the Eastern Range here uses in order to send a destruct signal to a rocket in case it veers off path. So it's a very critical, important safety component in terms of how the range keeps the public safe here. We understand that the flight termination system, they're working an issue. And so as they continue to work that issue, they've asked for some assistance from the launch team to help verify some of the work that they're doing on their FTS system. And this is where it gets a pretty unique situation here.
Thing that we will closely be monitoring throughout the countdown, and hopefully, again, won't be.
There was a National Guard base nearby my house, and there were A-10 aircraft that would fly over every now and then. I just would look up at them and be like, man, I want to be up there. I want to go do.
We are all intimately familiar with that risk, and so
we are looking at the rocket and Orion out on the pad, historic launch pad 39B.
A lot of that area is deep and dark, and that is where we are going to be looking for that water ice, because that is obviously going to give us not just water to drink, but as we know, that can actually be converted into our propellant potentially, that hydrogen and oxygen. So that is going to make the moon a critical place for that moon base, because we want to think of it essentially as a backpacking trip. If you have your tent and your hiking boots and your camping stove and all your gear, you don't want to take that out and be on the trail for the first day and then try everything out. You're going to test things out a little bit closer to home before you go out on that adventure. And that kind of goes for us as well. So the moon is going to be critical for us in the future steps towards our lunar landings, and then also for going farther on to Mars in the future. It's going to set us up for that deep space exploration, and we can't wait to see what they see once they get to that flyby. But for now, we are, like I said, getting closer. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, Megan.
Exciting stuff. Again, the idea of accomplishing a moon base, like as we've been saying, sometimes things just seem like science fiction, and it's amazing that we're making it science fact.
Yes, yeah, we're
on the moon and pave the way to Mars.
Yeah, we talk about incremental steps, right? And so Artemis
to all, signifying not only the second major flight of the Artemis program, but also a mission to explore for all, by all. The crew chose the iconic Earthrise photo for a reason. It was taken by the Apollo 8 crew in 1968, the first crew to ever fly around the moon. The mission was to prove teams then were ready to land on
the board.
I mean, this is an exceptionally happy moment for us and all of us and the people that are, about to
them probably like 30 minutes ago, and it was half that. But again, as we get closer and closer to launch, we are seeing more and more people. Let's go to Daryl Nail in the Launch Control Center.
All right, thank you very much, Megan. And as you can see there, the finishing touches, as you've been talking.
And this is actually the 7th time NASA astronauts will
in for exploration in this platform.
After it separates, its job will not be done. So getting excited.
Control of the mission and communicate with the crew while they fly on the space launch.
But why don't we send it back over to Megan Carter with the moon board to learn more about what happens after ascent.
Absolutely. I am definitely also getting excited. Things feel like they're starting to pick up a little pace here. A lot is about to happen within the first 10 minutes of launch, but what happens after those first 10 minutes? Let me take you over here to my mission map so we can kind of jump ahead and let me explain a few things. So, our main engine cutoff is going to stand for MECO, and that is essentially where the rocket's job is done, and it is then going to turn the propulsion duties over to our ICPS. That stands for Interim Cryogenic Propulsion Stage. Don't try and say that too many times fast, but the ICPS is going to be right here, and that's our in-space propulsion. About 50 minutes into, after about 50 minutes into launch, it is going to conduct that first burn, and that's going to be the perigee raise maneuver. Essentially what that is going to do is going to raise the spacecraft from a lowest point of Earth just a little bit higher into space, and then they are going to conduct that nice path that's going to set them on that nice circular path around the Earth. That's when they're going to start to be able to really check out the spacecraft. The Orion spacecraft is going to be able to, like we've talked about, be maneuvered by the crew. They're going to check out those life support systems, and communication checkout's going to be vital at that point as well, obviously. Then they will be conducting that another burn, and that's going to raise them just a little bit higher again. And then they will, it'll be about time for the ICPS to separate, and they will start another lap around the Earth as well. Now, the ICPS, but even after it separates, its job will not be done because they will have the opportunity to conduct something called the Proximity Operations Demonstration. And this is going to be really important for our future lunar missions because the ICPS actually has a target on it, and the crew is going to have the opportunity to manually maneuver these spacecraft like we've mentioned and practice those docking maneuvers. Now, obviously, they will not be docking for this mission, but that is, again, going to be critical for those lunar missions in the future. Now, all right, after that ICPS has separated and they've done that second lap, they're going to conduct 2 more burns. And what these burns are going to do is set them up to the high enough orbit and a fast enough speed in order to conduct the translunar injection. This is going to be that critical moment and that critical milestone where they are going to produce about 6,000 pounds of thrust. And this is that point that is going to take them out of low Earth orbit into deep space, and it's going to set them on that nice path towards that lunar flyby. And I know we have talked a little bit about why this could be a record-breaking flyby and journey to the moon. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Megan so she can tell us just why.
Yeah, she's talking about the distance record set by the Apollo 13 astronauts in 1970. They were 248,655 miles away from Earth, and this Artemis 2 crew might surpass that on flight day 6 when they fly around the moon by more than 4,000 miles.
Yeah, it's a long ways. It's tough to fathom 250,000 miles from Earth, right? I mean, space, the space station is only 250 miles, and so we're going, I don't want to do the public math, but we're going much further than that. But it's important, right? Because we want to get back to the moon. We want to see the surface. We want to see the far side of the moon. And the way we do that is by breaking distance records.
Yeah, and the exact distance record depends on exactly when they launch, like the time, the day. So we'll learn more.
Jim, good luck and Godspeed.
Oh, right back here.
27.
Right, and Administrator, we've actually had a pretty young audience.
50,000.
So we're coming together. We're one big NASA team, one big NASA family, and we have one major message before we launch tonight. Okay, guys, what are we going to say? 1, 2, 3. Go Army!
Oh my gosh, that made me so emotional. That was so inspiring to see. I mean, wow. Yeah, that was great. I mean, just to hear everybody say their position, what they're doing to support this mission is amazing. And I'm sure this was something that really rang true and resonated with NASA's Administrator Jared Isaacman, again, to see the workforce come together, to do the work, and then to be here for launch. So why don't we actually go over to him now with our Jasmine Hopkins at one of our other viewing locations.
All right, Megan, thank you so much. The energy here on the balcony is honestly becoming electric as we get so close to launch, and now we are thrilled to welcome NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman. Jared, we're really entering a golden age of exploration. How will Artemis 2 set the pace for the coming years?
Well, I mean, Artemis 2 is the opening act, right? This is the test mission. This is getting very comfortable with the SLS rocket, the Orion spacecraft. No humans have ever flown on this before, right? And we're going to put it through its paces. We'll go into Earth orbit for a little bit, make sure Orion's doing okay, and then we are sending them, right? We're going to send them farther into space than any humans might have gone before, 250,000 miles away, and it's going to set up for the subsequent missions. That's why we're going into the golden age of science and discovery right now, because you're going to see a moon rocket launch in 2027 when we do our testing with the lander. We're going to go for the landing on Artemis 4 in 2028, and in parallel, we're going to build the moon base, right? And that is going to be filled with science discovery and tech demonstrations that's going to support the enduring presence we're trying to create on the surface.
Absolutely. So honestly, history-making years ahead of us, you know, with Artemis 3 and 4. But first is Artemis 2. What will be our single greatest takeaway from this mission?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, after ignition, to me, the moment that I'm going to be most excited for is splashdown. There's no question about that. Good shoots coming down off the West Coast. But look, I think the takeaway from this is gaining extreme comfort in the Orion spacecraft, right? I mean, this is very different than what we've done for more than a half century, right? I mean, the velocities that spacecraft is going to re-enter at, it's going to be new territory for us. We want to get our arms around that completely. So I would say the performance of SLS plus Orion is everything on this one. We want to make sure we do it in as a safe way as we possibly can, understanding what we are undertaking right here, bring our crew back, learn as much we can from the vehicle, set up for Artemis 3 in 2027.
Right. And Administrator, we've actually had a pretty young audience today here, some kids running around the balcony. How do you hope Artemis 2 inspires that next generation?
You know, I talk about this all the time. Like, you know, one of our overarching KPIs that we should always be tracking is the number of people living and working in space. Well, you know what's another strong number 2 on that one? It's the number of kids that are dressing up as astronauts for Halloween, so that they grow up, that they're inspired to want to join in this grand endeavor, whether they come work with us here at NASA or they join in industry, but they're helping humankind venture out farther, pursue all the secrets of the universe.
Yeah, I think we'll see a lot of kids dressed as astronauts this year. And finally, Jared, you've really made it a personal mission to get to know the people behind the work at NASA. Do you have any final thoughts, any final words before today's history-making launch?
Yeah, well, one, I want to express a lot of appreciation. I'll tell you what, the 4 astronauts on top of Artemis 2 know this. It takes an army to pull a mission together like this, right? Across all 10 of our centers, all of our commercial partners, the international partners that come together to make this possible. My sincere appreciation for everyone who is currently working the mission right now, so getting them ready for launch, that will be watching over them in mission control, recovering this crew when they splash down off the West Coast. I have complete trust and confidence in your abilities. And everybody else who's not directly working on Artemis 2, Artemis 3 is coming up next year. When this mobile launcher gets back in the VAB, we're going to start stacking.
Wow, plenty of excitement.
The
sushi mashed together.
Look it up.
The rocket, in case the rocket is 50 cutouts that are included for the essential phases of launch day.
Personnel, we got a little bit more work to do before we pick. It sounds like they have a loss of lock as well. About 2 seconds.
Okay. And I guess for both KUS and COSE, do we have lock now?
That's affirmed. We do have lock for COSE.
Verify ready to resume count and go for launch. OTC.
OTC is go.
STC.
STC is go.
GTC.
C's go.
MCO.
CO's go.
Safety console.
The safety console is go.
LPE.
LPE's go.
RTD.
RTD's go.
Houston flight.
Houston flight is go.
ROC.
ROC is go.
And CDR.
Cruise go.
Copy that. Thank you, Reed. And Launch Director, NTD, our launch team is ready to proceed at this time.
All right, NTD, I copy all. At this time, I'll perform my poll. Attention on the net. This is the Launch Director performing the final poll for launch, verifying no constraints, and go for launch. EGS, Program Chief Engineer.
Artemis Chief Engineers are go.
Copy, thank you. EGS, Chief Safety Officer.
The Artemis CSOs are go.
Copy, thank you. Range Weather.
Launch weather is go.
Thank you, LWO. And Artemis MMT Chair.
MMTs go.
Thank you, John. And Integrity Launch Director.
Good Air West Charlie, PLT.
Thank you, Charlie. This is Victor. We are going for our families.
MS1.
This is Christina. We are going for our teammates.
MS2.
This is Jeremy. We are going for all humanity.
All right, Charlie, your Artemis 2 crew is go for launch. Full send.
I copy that. Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy. On this historic mission, you take with you the heart of this Artemis team, the daring spirit of the American people and our partners across the globe, and the hopes and dreams of a new generation. Good luck. Godspeed, Artemis 2. Let's go. And into the Launch Director.
Till 8:24 p.m. Eastern, and Alex Bendelos, p.m. Eastern Time. But as I was saying, there's no launch button. This is autonomous, but there is a button that keeps you